welcome back to Make Magento Singapore 2020. So I'm here with Mr. Nagaraja from TA from Chalup. So the floor is yours.
Thank you, Meng. Thank you so much for the introduction, actually. Good morning, everyone. And thank you so much for Ranosys for arranging this event. And I thank all of you, behind the event, actually, who are trying to make this event very successful, actually. Thank you so much, Ankit, and thank you so much, all of you, Ramesh, and everyone, actually, for giving me this opportunity. So myself, Nagaraj, and I'm working as a technical architect for a Shalub group in Middle East. And a little bit about Shalub is, Shalub is a big retailers in Middle East. They are everywhere, actually, in the worldwide, actually. So, and they are the biggest group, and they have a huge store, in biggest the mall in the world is Dubai Mall, actually. So Shalub has a very big online presence, and the online presence running on Magento. So we have a lot of brands, a lot of products that are being sold through Shalub, actually. So we have very good presence on the online. And yeah, this is where I'm now. I'm in Middle East. I'm just going to talk about native mobile apps. And when we talk about native mobile apps and headless architecture, both are interchangeable, actually, because native mobile apps, when you develop, it is something that it is headless architecture itself, actually, because it's going to make use of APIs, it's going to make use of a lot of services, it's going to make use of all available extra components you are bringing together and to make one e-commerce platform or any web application or anything, actually. So I'm going to talk about native mobile apps with a very big component, that is Magento APIs. A lot of Magento things we need to talk about, actually. I'm going to talk about a lot about Magento APIs and stuff, actually. And there are two extra components that we are trying to cover today, is a Elastic Search Cluster with the VSBridge. So I've spoken about a lot about Elastic Cluster and the VSBridge previous sessions, previous the speech I delivered for a lot of different events, actually. And also I've given a lot of information about the VSBridge on LinkedIn or different talks, actually, that I did previously. So let's now go to the three components that I'm going to talk about is, whether you build a native apps or any kind of any sort of headless architecture. It is not limited to iOS, Android, right? And iOS or Android, any application that you build today, it is a headless architecture, right? It is not something that the Magento or uh, any web application. It is a headless architecture. How do you build the headless architecture? And anything I'm speaking today here is it's very real experience that I carried over from last 6 months. So it is I don't have to prepare too much for this event today, because I'm taking a lot of knowledge from last 6 months, actually, which I have used for developing a lot of custom APIs, a lot of how the lot of getting into Magento, actually, understanding a lot of things to make this happen. And I'm carrying a lot of experience working with the VSBridge and Elastic clusters that I did for last 6 months, actually. So this is where the three components, very big components, is a Magento and APIs, actually. When I say Magento and APIs, there are two components that I'm going to describe, actually. And there is a VSBridge, a very very important and very high performance module that is available on the GitHub repository today, which is Magento supported, the complete Magento module itself, actually. So next one is the Elastic cluster, Elastic Search Cluster, or Elastic. That one you are always using with the Magento, and Magento, it is a native functionality that's already been built. Okay, so this is where the three components makes into, biggest, three components come together, make a big, headless architecture. This I'll talk about each and every components now. So Magento and APIs, actually, I just separate it out 2 points actually. Magento, when I say Magento, is when it refers to the Magento admin actually. So as you know, all of you know that actually what Magento is capable of, right? What is the Magento admin and its features actually? If you look at the Magento admin, right, it is a big sea of, lot of modules actually, and lot of features. And why Magento admin makes very unique, compared to other e-commerce platform, is because of hundreds of modules that are embedded in Magento, which provides a lot of functionality for a lot of things actually across the, to implement your e-commerce platform in a better way actually. And the features and the marketplaces, right? If you look at the Magento, the core Magento has hundreds of modules they're already providing actually. And if you look at the community and the marketplaces, there are thousands of modules which are, providing additional features to it actually. This is where the Magento, makes, Magento is a very different and very unique with respect to, compare with the other e-commerce platform. This is where the Magento admin goes into, if you look at the REST APIs, or if you look at the any roles and permissions in the Magento, actually it provides a lot of variations of the permissions, levels of, uh, the modules actually that you can integrate into the, it depends on modules that you can integrate into a lot of, with the features, with the approvals, with the permissions and stuff like that actually. So let's go to the APIs, right? APIs is, well-known API which is supported from Magento from the very beginning actually, which is REST APIs. And that is being, the REST APIs are like, uh, uh, very professional, and it is well known, and it is very famous actually, that you can use it anywhere, anytime actually, without even, very complex implementation actually. So this is about the REST API. When you go to the GraphQL, right? If you look at the GraphQL implementation in the Magento, they made it, very quick turnaround actually, a very short time period actually. They have implemented the GraphQL in Magento. And if you look at the, the performance of the GraphQL, and why is it being used, how it is being used, it's a very, very nice actually to understand. And how the, the single, uh, let's say there are multiple entities actually, how do you pull all the multiple entities into single API request actually? That is where the GraphQL comes into picture. So, and if you compare with the, the API development effort with respect to Magento, it is very minimal, because I've done a lot of APIs development for this headless architecture and native apps, for preparation. It is a matter of, just creating a one XML file and write some endpoints to it and write some logics in the model and the services folders actually. So this is where the API development is very easy in Magento. While, if you want to extend the feature of Magento APIs or adding a new APIs and stuff like that actually. So this is where the Magento and APIs makes, very good combinations actually. And the APIs are part of Magento. APIs are very, uh, developed in a easiest way actually, that can be integrated anywhere in the, uh, even in your website or in the headless architecture. Let's go to the VSBridge, right? The VSBridge is something, the module, Magento module. It is very famous module, and the Magento, it is a well-maintained module on the Git repository. Actually, it's a free module too. So if you look at this module, actually, it provides a lot of information that you can sync from Magento to Elasticsearch cluster. So I'll tell you that there are different components that you can carry from Magento to Elastic Cluster is a CMS pages or CMS blocks or tax informations, catalog or product information, category information. Everything can be ported from Magento to Elasticsearch in a matter of minutes actually. So I'll give you again. I'm telling you this is based on the real experience that I did a lot of sync process on a huge catalog. If you look at the 25K configurable products actually, 25K configurable products in our system, it is around 1.4 million products actually, simple products. And I don't have to sync all simple products into the Elasticsearch. It is a configurable products. I need to sync it. And VSBridge does that mapping of a configurable and simple products goes into the Elasticsearch in 4 to 5 minutes via the VSBridge. And if you look at the 10 store views, I've done the one more experiment. I'm doing the doing the day every day the experiments on this actually 10 store views. I've done the complete sync in 30 to 35 minutes actually. So if you look at this, the time frames like 4 to 5 minutes and 30 to 35 minutes, right? You will know that what is the the capability and the powerful of VS bridges actually. So this is where the VS bridge comes into picture. Please have a look at it actually and make use of this VS bridge for your the custom applications or the headless architecture that you are building for on Magento platform. So let's go into the Elasticsearch cluster, right? Let's talk about Elastic first. Actually, Elasticsearch is something, it is a native, the plugins that are already built in Magento for a Magento website basis, right? For a website to serve. Either it could be a catalog or catalog search actually. So, and Elasticsearch, you are very often use it for, right, uh, webs for the staging instances and the development instances actually. So where you will use single instances running for the Elasticsearch, right? So, and if you look at the cluster actually, right, in the production instances, what happens is it doesn't work with single instances because you have too many clients, too many customers are visiting the websites, and you need a lot of load to be handled, right? So Elastic Cluster, what do you mean by Elastic Cluster? Elastic Clusters is having a lot of masters and nodes actually. It depends on your requirements, whether you have a one master or different, how many replicas it is made up of, or you have two masters or three masters, or it depends on that actually. So you have a masters and the nodes and the replicas are doing the work for the customers actually. And Elasticsearch, when we look at the Elasticsearch, the response time is in milliseconds actually. This is how it is, right? I'm talking about Elasticsearch from long time on LinkedIn actually, that Elasticsearch can do a lot of things actually. It is the responses are in milliseconds. And when you talk about Elasticsearch clusters, how do you prepare them, right? There are two ways of preparing them. One is using the GCP or cloud services, the services like they provided. AWS provides the services, GCP provides the services, Azure provides the services, service-based, the implementation actually. The service-based implementation is just bringing the Elastic clusters with a few clicks itself actually. You don't have to struggle too much to bring the Elasticsearch clusters. But I did it in a different way. It's a manual process actually. I went for a manual process for understanding how the cluster works, how to make it work. And while implementing the manual, the cluster, right, I've learned so many things about the Elasticsearch actually. And you need to think about a lot about and you should have a deep understanding of nodes and the clusters as well actually. You need to have a deep understanding of what is Elasticsearch, how the nodes is going to work, or what is the replica process of Elasticsearch. And also you need to think about a lot of different concepts of Elasticsearch, like split brain concepts actually. How does it cause the issues when there is no master available? How many masters you require? How many the nodes that you need to run on for a production system or development and staging systems actually. This is where the I went in. I took the direction of manual because one is for understanding and learning purposes, and second one is for saving cost. So if you look at the GCP and AWS, the services they provide, the built-in services, it is much expensive than the manual that you're going to create actually. While manually, when you're creating them, actually, you have a security group, you have a lot of ports actually. It is very important that you need to understand the ports as well actually, whether get port or post port or delete port, where to allow them, where to block them actually. That is where very important structure. uh, while developing or architecting, you need to know that what is happening with the, the cluster always. So I spoke about three components now. One is Magento, VSBridge, and Elasticsearch, right? So these three components mix together to make a headless architecture or native applications. So let's look at the overview architecture of how this works actually. So if you look at the diagram here, there is a Magento and there is a VSBridge and Elasticsearch. So this is if you look at this architecture overview, right, this is the one I've used for my experiment and how it is being used in my mobile application, and uh, how effective it is with respect to the numbers I gave you, like 5 minutes and 30 to 35 minutes for 10 store views actually. So if you look at the Magento here, it is taking the catalog from the product information manager, and which is the data feed, right? And the Magento holds the data, and the VS Bridge, the connector is the one which is connecting Magento and the sync the data to Elasticsearch cluster. So clusters has a lot of masters and the nodes actually. That is depends on the website, the users, customers, how many customers are running on the site actually, right? So that's the one part of the architecture. So if you look at the another part of the architecture is where mobile is accessing the data from the Elasticsearch actually. So it is not using the Magento APIs to get the data from for like so home page or category page or search page, the product information. It always directly access the Elasticsearch clusters and not the Magento, because Magento, we want to keep it very lightweight to the serve information to the website. Magento has a lot of work actually to do. It is not only for developed, there is a website is running, there is a PWA is running, there is a mobile app, mobile website, mobile responsive website is also running actually. To make it lightweight actually, mobile is always the apps is going to, or less architecture is going to directly contact Elasticsearch and get the data. If you compare the difference between the Elasticsearch and the Magento getting the catalog information, it is very far, the comparison actually. uh, it is from the Elasticsearch cluster, it is always responses, the response that you receive is in milliseconds. So that's about the Magento and the data. So now mobile app, right? Mobile app, when you contact the Magento, you will contact for adding a product to cart, updating a cart, checkout informations, and the customer data information actually. That is where the mobile native apps comes into picture to access the Magento via the APIs. And all other information comes from the Elasticsearch, like tax information, home page, or the CMS pages, or catalog products and everything. But if you look at the downside of the architecture overview, right, where the create order service, there are two possible ways of creating order, right? One is you can use the Magento APIs to push the order directly to the Magento and from Magento to OMS, or there is another way where directly you can connect to the OMS via APIs and create an order directly in the OMS itself actually. So, and OMS will take care of sending order emails or shipment emails and refunds actually. If you have looked at the recent trend actually, right, all the systems are going towards headless architecture, partially headless architecture already actually. If you look at the lot of the systems actually, they are connecting with the Magento, they are using the Magento catalog. But when they are creating the order services and uh, orders, right, it will go to OMS always actually. It will go to OMS because the hard part of the system is like emails and other things, shipments and the refunds. OMS will take care of it. And when you talk about the payment, actually, you can always talk about Magento APIs for the payments, or you can directly integrate with the payment provider and do the auth and capture, and then the merchant bank will come into picture. So there are this is the a brief, the architecture overview of how do you implement the headless architecture for for a native mobile apps. And all this depends on, all this architecture that I'm sharing is always, it is a real time experience, the experiment I've done it on the, the current Magento and Elasticsearch clusters with the VSBridge. Thank you. And thank you,
Yeah,
Ranosys, for again for giving me this opportunity. And you can follow me LinkedIn at this address actually. Thank you so
I'll
much.
be the first. All right, so I think now is a Q&A session. So our Q1 is benefit of native apps over PWA.
Yeah, so I was expecting this question for sure actually, because right, the PWAs are, native apps is always native apps, right? Uh, when you speak about app actually, so let's go to the small customer, go to tell them, do you have the app actually? They'll directly go to the app store and Android, the Play Store actually, to look for the app actually. They don't know what is PWA, right? PWA, I know PWA is going very fast actually, and it is a baby, it's still baby actually. A lot of things which is available in the native apps actually, which it could be like, the notification is already included in the PWA. If you look at the different, the complex SDKs, which is not available with the PWAs yet actually. The native application is always native application. And when you compare with the native and PWA, the smell is always different actually. The native application is always like, have a better performance compared to, PWAs. With respect to performance, what you look at the end of the day is how do you serve the customer very fastest way actually. That is where the native application comes into picture actually. But I don't take it away, like I don't say that no, PW cannot do it actually. It will do it actually. It will take some time actually, because it is very early stage that the PW, to make it happen. But it'll happen in the coming years, because if I look at it, Magento PWA, they made it available very fast actually, very quick turnaround, very time, very short time actually. They made the PWA available for all the customers on the Magento 2.4 actually. So I would say that there is a future at PWA, but not at this moment, where you cannot expect. If you look at the personalization of the customer actually, where you can take a photo and look for the photos in the, the catalog actually, all those features, I'm sure that it is not readily available with the PWA, which you can directly integrate using the SDKs in a mobile native apps.
All right. All right, I hope that answers your questions. So the second question is how many shards should I have in my Elasticsearch cluster? Any suggestion for
It's
best
it's
practice?
it's yeah. Thank you, Ming. Sorry, it depends on the catalog size and the customer, the number of customers visiting on your website or mobile apps actually. So what I've used is, I've created a staging as an access of, like 20-25 users actually. But when it comes to production actually, I've I've observed like my cluster is running around one master and three nodes. And that is good enough for me to serve a lot of customers, around 10,000, 20,000 customer at a time actually. And if I look at back, the report of my usage of Elastic Cluster, I have seen a max of 50% usage actually till now. And if you look at what time I'm talking about, it is time of campaign times actually. It is, this month is a campaign time. I'm looking at the traffic at this time actually, especially this time. And yeah, so maximum of, you need to go with the three servers or three instances with the three nodes, and one node always be master actually. If you go for a two nodes and make one of them masters, you will end up with the split brain issues actually. So that is where I've encountered these issues actually in the last in the implementation actually. So
See. All right, the last question because of time constraint. All right, we only have one more question. So the last question will be any suggestion on what should be the frequency of data update from VSBridge?
yeah, so VSBridge is they already, you don't have to worry. They are already integrated with the Magento cron jobs actually. Any update happens in Magento, automatically it will sync to Elasticsearch. And that is why I was saying it is very powerful. Actually, you don't need to do anything. It is a Magento, the timely, like minute basis index actually, which is pushing the data. If you think it is not pushing the data, you can manually run with the all store views or by store. Actually, it will push the data very fast, and it's like fraction of minutes actually. It depends on the catalog.
So, no worries at all. All right, Ken. I think we have to break for lunch now. So thank you so much, Narendra. So if anyone wants to find out more, you can reach out to his LinkedIn profile. And also, we'll break for lunch for now. We'll be back at 1 p.m. Singapore timing. All right. I look forward to talk to you guys soon. All right. See you.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.